Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Kashif Kamran and today I am discussing with you the feedback I got from my students for SBL December 23 exam paper. Now this all is based upon the feedback from the students, so there is a possibility of an error. Before I move to what came in the SBL December 23 paper, let's first have a look at the polls I conducted with my students. I did ask my student how was the overall paper, and 90% of the students found the paper as manageable. This is much in line with the previous exam settings as well, where majority of the student do find the paper as manageable in terms of the topics or in terms of the case understanding. But again, the challenge remain, are they developing the point in sufficient detail or are they linking the answer well with the case information, because that are the critical success factors for success in the SBL paper. So just founding the paper as manageable does not mean that the passing rate for SBL would be as high as 90%. We know the passing rate for SBL is around 50%. So the struggling point with students even finding the paper as manageable is either due to the lack of depth, lack of analysis, lack of evaluation of each of the well developed point, or lack of connectivity with the case study, or perhaps writing more generic stuff or more bookish stuff rather than extracting information from the case study, or then just copy pasting things from the case study, not even bothered about elaborating it. I did ask my student that did the debrief I did with them for the pre-scene published by ACCA 15 days before the exams around NC Tech, and the tips we discussed around that pre-scene debrief, and the areas I did emphasize to them that this might be the areas which could possibly be impacting your paper. Did that really benefited them on the day of exam, and the debrief helped them to do better on the day of exam? So 100% of the students agreed with this. We know these pre-scene debriefs by tutors are extremely important because that is a brainstorming which comes with experience, and the student then can develop their notes. The students can ask questions in the debrief, and a lot of brainstorming goes in these debrief sessions, where then we come down to a final list of things, the final list of revisions, the final list of topics, the final list of articles to focus on ahead of your exams, and most of the time it do benefit the students. In terms of the topics examined, again, there were different sets of paper being put for SBL. So one set of my students responded me that these are the topics which came to their exam paper. A topic around culture evaluation, evaluating the culture around NC Tech and areas of improvement, something around talent management and benefits, internal audit function, pros and cons of machine learning and artificial intelligence. This was picked as a tip in my debrief session, where I did talk to my students that there is a possibility of something around machine learning and artificial intelligence. Please read the article around machine learning and artificial intelligence. So even if someone of the students have read this out, you must have found this pretty easier. SWOT analysis, risk assessment of business external environment, and the Baldrige model for performance excellence. Even this point was picked in my debrief, that there was a hint given to the student that looking at what is in the NC Tech pre-scene, there is a possibility that the examining team might ask you the application of the Baldrige model for performance excellence, and that do impact it. So point number 7 and point number 4 was well picked out in the pre-scene debrief. Another set of students responded. They got a question around integrated reporting, which we know is a very common question and a very frequently asked question by the SBL examining team. Something around the power and interest of the stakeholders, data security breach, and the impact on the reputation and recommendations. Benefits of board diversity. Even board diversity was picked as a tip. Even my top 10 articles to be read before SBL December 23 exam did mention board diversity article. Advantages and disadvantages of talent management, and how talent management can help in the board recruitment. So these were possible questions which were reported by the students, which came in the December 23 SPL paper. Difficult question as per student. A few of my students reported me that there was a question, a case-specific question for which a specific exhibit was given, where four security models were given, which was adopted by NC Tech, and you need to identify the issues with each model and what improvements can be brought to make each model more better. So it was a more case specific questions. These four security models, some of my student reported me saying this was the four security layers, and some said these were four security models. But with every layer or model, there were some underlying issues from the case which needs to be identified and explained, and then some recommendations were to be given how you can further improve these four security models as part of their internal control system or risk management system adopted by NC Tech. Tips versus actual paper. The Beldrich Performance Excellence Model, diversity, culture, risk was all what we discussed in the pre-scene debrief, and it had an impact on the actual paper along with diversity and Menlo metrics. Majority of the things we discussed in brainstorming of the pre-scene, I hope my students will agree to that once they listen to this session, that majority of that was there in the actual paper as well. Uh, the purpose of debrief is not to spot the questions, but yes, the purpose of the debrief is that when you're reading through the debrief, you do get an idea or hint of some possibilities. So we didn't spot it the questions, we did spot it the topics, that there is the application of this topic in the pre-scene. So we didn't said, "Oh, a question like this would come in," but we thought that that this particular topic is somewhere within the pre-scene. So those topics were basically picked up while we were doing the pre-scene with the students. The overall conclusion, based upon the student feedback and my assessment, I found this paper, December 23, a very balanced paper in terms of what was put into the actual papers and the actual task. If any student would have practiced the recent papers, read 2 to 3 recent examiner reports, you would not have find this paper difficult, and that is in line with the students' responses. 90% of the paper of the students, sorry, found it as a manageable paper. Wish you all the very best of luck and success for your upcoming exam results. Your tutor, Kashif Kamran, signing off.